I am God Apophis. I wanted to make another video. Let's talk about the guy who tried to shoot Donald Trump. So, Thomas Matthew Crooks. He was 20 years old, and he tried to shoot Donald Trump. So apparently he was bullied at school, and he used to wear sort of like military uniform and stuff like that to school, and people made fun of him. And it's really interesting because he's 20 years old. He's got he's a guy with a young looking face, right? Anyway, I've just been looking for, there's an article about him on the Daily Mail, and I was looking through the comments, and here's a list of comments. Let's have a read, shall we? So here's one from Lizzie in London about 5 hours ago. She wrote, "Why do these shooters all look odd?" And she got 429 upvotes and 7 dislikes. So the vast majority of people who read that comment, the vast majority of people who voted on that comment agreed with it. And that's the thing, right? I mean, you think about, so, people on the right, they think that, they don't like liberals. They, and they feel threatened by people who are liberal, people who are on the left. They're afraid of the, what's happening in the LGBT community and stuff like that, right? But really, what did God say? What did God say? What did Jesus say? He said, you're supposed to love one another, and it's not good for a man to be alone. A man on his own, he's going to struggle a lot. And that's the thing, right? I mean, imagine, people hating you for the way you look and outcasting you based on for whatever, there's no good reason to bully some. People get bullied and treated like crap. And we live in, these days, got people who say, things like, well, to be androgynous is basically to be satanic. Like if you're androgynous, you must be evil. It's very evil to say that. It's very evil to, if you see someone and they look androgynous, you treat them like you treat them like they're an enemy. Like they deserve to be exterminated or something like that. Like removed from the gene pool. That's the kind of thing, well, let's keep reading these comments, okay? So it says here, so after Lizzie's comment underneath, we got, "They're not all fully developed, experiments gone wrong." That got 74 likes and 1 dislike. Why do these shooters all look odd? Someone said, because they are. Another one says, it's in the genes. Another one says, I know, I thought the same as the Bondi Junction shooter. Another one says, it's the poison showing through. Another one says, because being mad enough to want to kill people makes you not normal. Because being mad enough to want to kill people makes you not normal. What are the other replies? I mean, all of these have got massive upvotes and like very few dislikes. I've got another one here that says, because people obsessed with guns are odd. And then because they are Democrats. And someone said, because most people look odd, Question mark. Anyways, I can keep going through all these comments. And the fact is that he was bullied based on his looks. The fact is society treats people like, he was being treated like shit. I mean, you think about how many school shooters are bullied before they do what they do. Like everyone gangs up on them and hates them because they think they're weird, or they don't like the way they look, or there's something about their personality that they pick on them, and because they think they're not cool or whatever it is, and they get beat up, or just for trying to exist. What would God say about that, do you think? What would I say about that? Well, I know what it's like to be an outcast. I know what it's like. Yeah, I do. So, yeah. I mean, in this world, not having any friends and being bullied by people, it's a very hard thing to deal with. It changes people. It can spiritually kill somebody. Spiritually, it just turns them. It's so evil. Picking on someone to the point where you've completely destroyed them. Like there was anything good in them, and that's the thing, right? I mean, for a young guy who's 20 years old, everyone hates him and tells him, like, he'll never fit in, he's always going to be a loser, he's not a real man, you'll never be a man, and, he dresses up in military clothes and comes to school, maybe he thinks that, maybe he just wants to be seen as a man. Maybe he wants to be seen as a man. Perhaps. I mean, that's my best guess. Maybe there was some other reason. But yeah, I mean, he, Thomas Matthew Crooks, right? I mean, he did what he did, knowing that it was very likely he was going to die. Which is a very sad situation for him, right? I mean, he felt compelled to prove himself. He felt compelled to get some kind of revenge. He'd been pushed into a corner so much that he couldn't help himself. Well, he I mean, he ended up doing what he did. I mean, that's the thing, these things happen again and again and again and again and again. The problem is how many people have been outcast? Like how many guys and women, they grow up and a woman might be told that she looks like a man, she's not a real woman, or and a guy might get told that he's not a real man. And people struggle to fit in. What do they do about that? How do they deal with that? I think that's the real problem in society, is that no one really cares. Most people don't care, especially people who are on the right. Look at meme culture, for instance. You got the Doomer guy, you got Pepe Le Frog, and all that stuff, and all that meme culture stuff. Talking about people like they're NPCs and and all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, it's bullying. It really is. I mean, most of it really is. It's taking the piss out of me, actually. I'm God. And it takes the piss out of other people too, but it's meant to, it's an attack, it's very nasty. It really is. I mean, it's interesting though, isn't it? You got the rise of the LGBT community, and then, you got all the Republicans and the Christians who, how that go, people who call themselves Christians, and they say what they do. They say what they say and they do what they do, and they've caused a rift. They've caused a separation. People have been outcast. They've been pushed away, and then other groups that and that's the thing. People have been separated from one another, and then you've got competing groups of people, and that's the thing, right? People, I'm reading these comments, and it's, what's it saying? It's saying like, like all these shooters, they all look the same, or, it looks like a soy boy, it looks like a liberal, I've been treated like that. And the fact is, I never really, I never was a liberal, right? Well, I never voted Democrat or anything, I never voted left wing, ever. Never. In fact, I was the complete opposite. I'm probably more right than most people, actually. Very well, I have been in the past, yeah. Not so much now, but yeah. Anyways, to say like, and this is the thing, I keep seeing this. It's attacking the people. They see when someone goes crazy, right? It becomes clear to me that there. I can see why those people went. A lot of these people, they go crazy. They hate. It's not that. Everybody hated them first. They got bullied and treated like shit without good reason. Like there was no good reason for them to be treated the way that they were. They should have been loved. They should have been cared for. But what really happened is that they realized that everyone around them is evil. All these people are evil, and who cares what happens to them, basically. Yeah. Because, yeah, I mean, basically what people have done is proven to that person that the human race is a piece of shit, basically, and no one is, yeah. I mean, that's essentially, they've been driven to the point of complete insanity. Well, if you can call it insanity. It really is. They've been bullied so much that they've lost all hope. They've lost all hope in humanity. And so, and they feel very, very hurt by it. You got people making fun of, like, oh, he must have been a loser. Why are all the shooters? Why are they all incels? Why are they all losers? Why are they all loners? Why are they all loners? Why are they such losers? It's always the losers who do it. Why is that? Instead, the conversation should be like, well, maybe we should have been nicer to. Maybe we shouldn't have treated them and we shouldn't have cast them out. We shouldn't have outcast them. We shouldn't have treated them like garbage. Maybe if you hadn't treated them like garbage, maybe that terrible thing that happened wouldn't have happened. Doesn't that make more sense? Doesn't that make more sense? That does make more sense, but people refuse to do it because people are evil. People are demon possessed. Let's go to some more of these comments. Come on, let's get some more comments here. All right, yeah. Someone says here, you only have to look at him to see something isn't right. It's sad a young life came to this. Someone replied to that and they said, they all have the same look. Another one says, too much time in his room as a loner, plotting how he can get some notoriety. Yeah, what else can we find? Yeah, I mean, what is that? So that's the thing. Society is very cruel. You know, to people like me, and him, you know, we're outcast and we're told we're no good and, you know, we're losers and loners and we don't deserve any happiness. And it's like, well, what the fuck did I do wrong? You pieces of shit. What have I done wrong? Why do I deserve to be treated like complete garbage? Do you have no compassion whatsoever? Do you know what I mean? It's very cold. It's very harsh. You know how nasty people can be. I mean, I've had quite a mixed life, to be honest. But I've had times when I've had friends, and I've had times when I've not had any friends, and I've not had a friend for a very, very long time. Very long time, you know. Yeah, I've been sat indoors. I feel like an outcast for the last 10 plus years at least. You know, it's been a long time. Anyways, I know what it's like, and I know what it's like to be judged by people and be say, "Oh, you're not a real man," you know, or whatever. Right? I've been treated like that, yeah, a lot. Basically being talked down to and treated like shit by people who think they're better than me. They're not better than me. I'm God. True. Yeah. You know, I've talked about this before, but I thought I would speak about it again because, to be quite honest, it's a very serious problem. It's a very serious problem. I mean, how's called, you know, you got all these Christians, so-called Christians, right? You know, how many of them are, you know, they look at someone who's lost, you know, someone who's an outcast, you know, they look at them like, oh, they're a freak, you know, or look at that androgynous freak or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah, people who are like that, okay? What's God going to say to them, do you think? Oh, well, I'm right here. I'm explaining it right now. People who are like that are evil. And they deserve to suffer for, you know, for treating people, you know, outcasting people for no good reason. And this is the thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he hadn't been bullied at school, okay, if people had just treated him with some kindness, you know, they didn't have to be his best friend or anything like that, but, you know, just show him a bit of love, you know, you know, not bully him and treat him like he has no right to exist. I mean, you know, as a guy who's androgynous, as a guy who's, you know, I've been through a lot of problems myself, and I feel like I've been treated like I don't deserve to exist. And, you know, if everyone treats you like that, sooner or later you're going to feel like, wow, like, you don't care what happens to other people. Of course you won't. Imagine that. Imagine you're living in a world where everyone hates you and wishes you were dead. You know, are you still going to be wanting to be friends with people? You know, how does that work? You know, it doesn't work. You know, like eventually, you know, if you push someone over the edge, you've pushed them over the edge. It's that simple. And that's what society does. You know, society's narcissistic, cruel, selfish. You know, bullies. You know, there are a lot of bullies, and you know, unfortunately, you know, well, that's the thing. People get hurt. It changes people. You know, and that's the thing. You know, he came from a liberal family. You know, and he was a young guy. You know, like, you know, he probably wasn't a guy who went to church on Sundays. You know, you know. I mean, that's the thing, right? If you sell a whole bunch of people, they're freaks, you know, or you're not a real man, or you're not a real woman, and then they go off and form groups of, you know, where they're all going to be, you know, androgynous together and this and that, and then people want to complain about it and say like, oh, you can't do that, that's evil. You know, it's just all you're doing is attacking people for something they can't help. You know, and you're attacking them for something that they can't help, and then you know you're changing them. You're making it worse for them, and you're bullying them and pushing them into a corner. And if they retaliate in some way, and then you whinge about it and mock them even more for it, it's very evil. It really is. You know, I just thought I should really, you know, well, that's the thing, you know, like, it needs to be said. It does need to be said. It's not right that people should be able to treat people like that. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's so much I could say. But you know, imagine you know being treated like you don't deserve to exist, especially by the opposite sex as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I've you know many women who they don't even want to be in the same room as me. They're like, go away. You know, they went. I've been treated like absolute crap by people. And you know, and yeah, you know, I've had to. I just learned to deal with it and just move on. Um, but it does hurt. You know, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's very unpleasant. You know, nobody likes being treated like that. And you know, people who are, you know, what society deems as good looking. Well, you know, well, obviously you have different groups of people who, you know, there are different people. But at the same time, look, when a bunch of people treat you like that, you know, they want to push you into, you know, they want to send you away, essentially. Yeah, it's very cruel. It's very cruel. Um, you know, why can't people? Why, you know, that's the thing. People are narcissistic. People are, you know, and you know, people who've been blessed with good looks. You know, people who are good looking. People who've never had that struggle. Yeah. You know, what the fuck do they know about anything? You know, what the fuck do they know? I mean, that's the thing. You know, it's very hard for people not to have a friend. It's very hard to not have any friends. I've gone for the last several years, okay, most of it I've gone without anybody to talk to. I've gone through a lot of it with basically no friends at all. You know, in the past 3 years, I've been sat here in this room, and the only time I ever have a very short conversation with anybody is if I'm answering the door to a delivery person, or if I'm paying for something at a till somewhere in a shop. That's the only time. It's the only time I ever have any kind of conversation with anybody. I don't text anybody. I don't email anybody. I don't comment on YouTube videos. I don't comment on news websites. I don't have any conversations with anybody anywhere. You know, and if I get a phone call, chances are I won't even answer the fucking phone. I have spirits around me, and I talk with the spirits. I'm good. That's it. You know, that's my life. That's what my life looks like. So I know what it's like, and it's been incredibly hard for me. You know, obviously without spirits around me, it would have been even harder. In fact, if I didn't, you know, that's the thing. I've been talking to myself for such a long time. I have. Like, I've always been a person who talks to himself. And then I had spirits around me. Who went? So I talked to the spirits that are around me. Crazy, huh? Well, it's not crazy. It's true, but I feel a bit crazy. Well, my life is, you know, it's been a crazy life for me. Yeah. I mean, what is justice in this situation? You know, like, I mean, it's crazy to think. You know, I've seen it plenty of times before. You know, people talking about Lucifer, Satan, and they say, "Oh yeah, Lucifer, Satan is androgynous." Yeah, you know, this androgyny thing. It's an evil plan from Satan, and blah 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 blah. You know, and I mean, that's the thing, right? If a man's told he's not a real man, you know, and he's told that he's a woman and stuff like that, and then, you know, later on he decides he's gay, or, you know, or bisexual, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, if he feels like, you know, that's the thing, like, if the opposite sex says that they're not interested, then, you know, for some people, they may just think, oh, well, they're not, you know, there's the same sex. Maybe, you know, maybe they decide to turn gay. Well, do you know what I mean? Like, well, you can't, you know, the thing is that people's words do more damage. You know, people and their evil words and their evil tongues do more damage than people realize. Because words have power. And when you talk shit about people, when you say things about them, especially behind their backs, you know, and, you know, people want to curse each other and say all kinds of horrible things about each other. Yeah. It's a very evil world. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that it's very unfair that You know, you think how many school shootings have taken place where the person was bullied. You know, how many times is it, you know, it was a person who felt outcast. They felt like they were, you know, they were bullied. They were treated like, you know, they felt like they didn't belong in this world. They felt like that nobody liked them. You know, I mean, that's the thing, you know, if you're living in a world where everybody hates you, you're going to find it really hard not to hate them back. And, you know, and you're at some point, you're going to snap and you're going to hate everybody. And when you hate everybody, well, don't be surprised, you know, that, you know, all kinds of crazy things can happen at that stage. So, and that's the thing, right? Well, that's the thing, because, you know, there are lots of people who get classed as freaks, right? Yeah, I don't want to, you know, but that's the thing, you know. You have, you know, heterosexual, you know, and Christians and so-called Christians, whatever, right? And people, you know, they think, you know, you should be, you know, society have certain expectations of what you should be and what you shouldn't be, and I mean, that's the thing. People do the damage, you know. People do the damage, and then after the damage has been done, they mock you even more. They're like, oh, you know, like, you know what I mean? It's like tripping someone, sticking your foot out to trip someone up, and then saying, "Oh, why do you fall over? You fucking loser." You know. And then, you know, when they try to get up, you kick them down and say, "Why can't you get up? Huh? Why can't you get up?" And then you stick your foot on their neck. And you know, and when they're dead, you're like, "Why are you dead, loser?" You know, that's how sick and evil this world is. To people, and they'll do it for absolutely no reason apart from the fact that they're evil, and they're not, you know, they're narcissistic, psychopathic, evil, demon possessed people. Okay, that's what, you know, that's what this world is like, and nobody is really addressing that problem. You know, no one is. Nobody is. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Very few people have anything to say about that. I mean, look at Donald Trump. You know, look at meme culture. You know, you know, where it talks about, you know, you got the Chads, and then you've got, I don't know, the soy boy or the NPCs or whatever it is. You know, I mean, that's the thing. I am the Alpha and the Omega, right? That's what Jesus said, right? That's what God said, right? What does it mean to be an alpha? You know, why is there all this talk in this day and age about, you know, what is an alpha? What is an alpha? Yeah, no, what it is demon possessed people hating me. I'm God, and I'm very angry, and I'm here to destroy. I'm here to cause chaos and destruction. I don't have to lift a finger. All I have to do is be me. I have that power. Don't even have to get out of my seat to destroy this world. Like, yeah, I mean, this world is absolutely fucked without me. It really is. And that's exactly what's happening. This world is getting fucked. Until it loves me. Jesus said, I said, yeah, I was Jesus. I said that you're supposed to love one another and to treat people well. But we live in a world where people don't do that. It's really interesting because obviously, the white, heterosexual, Christian man is, his situation is not looking that great these days, is it? Let's be honest. But how many would have something bad to say about a guy like me, that looks like me, A guy that looks like, he could be 12 years old or something like that, but he's a 36-year-old man who's going bald. A guy who's a loser, who hasn't got any friends, no woman wants to be with him. Yeah. Looks like a doomer, looks like an NPC, looks like a soy boy. Yeah, he must be evil or something. Must be Satan or something. I mean, it's so. Oh, he's not a Chad. Oh, he needs to be removed from the gene pool. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. This is the situation. I'm God, and if people don't love me, well, bye bye, bye bye, bye bye. Yeah, that's the situation. I gave people the advice. I gave people the instructions to follow. If people fail, they fail, right? But that's the thing, everyone wants, how many people are going to try to paint this guy, Thomas Matthew Crooks, as an evil guy, when in fact it's society that's evil. If he'd been shown love by people instead of hatred, chances are what he did, he never would have done. And there are many, many, many other people who would be in that same category, that if they'd been shown love, the terrible things they did wouldn't have happened. I mean, that's the thing. If you're being attacked by everybody, and you feel like everyone hates you and no one in this world will ever love you, then that's going to lead you down a very, very, very dark path. A very lonely, a very depressing, a very angry, a very, that's a horrible emotional roller coaster to find yourself on. And it's, it's the kind of life that, well, that's, how many people who, if they were put in that situation, would want to live? How many people put in that situation would want to still be, to stay alive? They wouldn't. Most people wouldn't want to be in that situation. I mean, being put in that situation is almost, it's it leads to spiritual death, and it leads to physical death as well. Yeah, it can. And that's the thing. And I think what happens is that people who find themselves in that place, they get to the point where they're suicidal. They don't want to live anymore. And then they feel angry about being put in that position. They feel so angry and mad at the world around them, that they've put them in that position. And so they feel like getting some revenge before they die. Yeah. They feel like they have to get some sort of vengeance, right? I mean, look at the situation with, what people call incels. Yeah, how many people, how many guys have been labeled incel? I hate that label, I'll be honest with you. Well, what's a prison cell? If you're in a cell, are you an incel? If you're in a prison cell, or does that make you an incel? It's a horrible thing to call somebody, it's a horrible word. But it means, involuntary celibate, which basically means if you wanted to have sex, no one's going to have sex with you, basically. And that's the thing, how many, you hear in the media and you hear all this stuff where incel, they're called incels, it's a very, that's the thing, like, okay, just because someone can't find someone that wants to be with them, that could change in a year, that could change in 6, that could change in the future. Why would you want to rule that out? Why would you want to say that's never going to happen? It might happen someday. You don't know. But the thing is, and there was, all this talk about incels and terrorists, what the heck? Look, the fact is, if people are living in a society that shows them no love whatsoever, in fact, it's the complete opposite. It's hatred. If you're born into a world that has nothing but hatred for you, well, it's kind of hard not to have the same. It's kind of hard not to feel hatred for those people. And it's hard not to want to have some kind of revenge for all that horrible shit that was totally undeserving. It was totally unwarranted. It was, it's so sick and disgusting how people behave. But hey, that's the world. That's the world. What did Jesus say? Don't be of the world. If you're a friend of the world, you're my enemy. Yeah. Anyways, was there anything else I wanted to add to this? This is the thing, if people hadn't been so hateful, and if people weren't so quick to outcast other people, and if people were, actually showed love instead, there would be far few, there would be a lot less problems. But because people are narcissistic arseholes, who are rude, nasty, for no good reason, people are bullies. They don't care what someone else has been through. They don't care how hard it's been for them. They don't have compassion. yeah, so it is what it is. That's what people create their own mess. This world has created all kinds of problems, and people have to deal with the consequences. So I thought I would just point that out because it needs to be pointed out. I am God Apophis. Those who worship me can live. Those who don't worship me, well, you won't.